Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to the official launch of the Game of Life with author Sophia To. We are thrilled to have you join us here today, whether you're catching us from the East Coast, the West Coast, all around the world. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us at this fabulous event. My name is Gabby Hernandez Branch. I'm COO of Fig Factor Media, the official publisher of the Game of Life. We are thrilled once again to have you join us. We are excited to have a wonderful program where we introduce our brand new author, Sophia To, where she will speak about the amazing journey that she went through to publish this book, her inspiration behind it, and so much more. We also have some fun giveaways later that we'll share and so much more. There will be opportunity as well for some Q&A, so please be sure to be commenting, asking questions in the chat, and just be here with us engaging in this wonderful event. Thank you once again. I do want to highlight our event partners for the event. Thank you so much to Olin Technology, our amazing production company, and of course to Fig Factor Media, our publisher. Thank you to our team from our editors, publishers for making this book and event happen. Thank you, thank you. Well, with that, I am sure those who are tuning in are super thrilled and are here to hear from the amazing Sophia To. I am super thrilled to kick right off and introduce her since we have an amazing program. Sophia is a CFO turned executive coach, leadership trainer, and global investment immigration consultant, committed to helping individuals thrive with excellence. She brings more than 30 years of business experience, including 2 decades in senior leadership roles at Procter & Gamble and Kraft Heinz, where she served as a 3-time vice president and 2-time business unit CFO. Today, Sophia is a partner at Globisa Atlanta, part of the world's largest investment immigration consulting firm. She also serves as the national board chair of Mothers Against Drunk Driving and as a director of the Global Professional Coaches Board of the International Coaching Federation. In addition to her leadership and coaching work, Sophia is the co-author of Leadership Unscripted, and now with her very own new book, The Game of Life. She continues her mission of empowering people to create meaning, success, and impact in their lives. Please, please help me welcome Sophia.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Yes.
Thank you, Sophia. We're thrilled to have you with us. I know we have a wonderful conversation in store, so I just want to give you an opportunity to share some initial words with our audience. I know everyone's thrilled to have you and join you in this virtual launch. So, Sophia, the floor is yours.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you, Gabby. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. And I looked at the registrations, and a lot of you are my friends. So thank you for being here. I am really touched that you actually register and then show up to this live stream here. So any questions that you want to ask me, please put it in the chat here because I actually hope that I get to answer your questions. In addition to maybe the prepared questions. So I'm very excited to be here, very excited to be talking about my book here. I do believe that this is my labor of love. The reason that why I just got suddenly got obsessed and tried to get all of this out in a very short amount of time is just because I really feel that I need my voice heard, and I'm hoping that you see my love when you're reading the book. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sophia. I know that, like you said, it was a labor of love, and that truly is, what a book is. It is labor. It does take time to go through that process, and then to finally have your book, your book baby, published and ready to go. It's a beautiful journey, and I'm excited to talk about that. So, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning, during this launch, we will hear from Sophia from her journey to the new book. We'll have a Q&A session, and we'll also open it up for any questions that our audience may have. So please send in your questions, your comments, and we'll make sure to read them. But Sophia, to get started, I want us to hear from you and give us a little bit of an overview of the book. What is The Game of Life? Just a quick overview before we get into the details.
So this concept is actually not new to me. So I left corporate probably 4 years ago, close to 4 years ago. And so since then, I have been coaching, training. So I got invited to speak too. So I actually have been talking about this concept at a lot of my speaking engagement. And I also talked about the game of team also with the same concept. So for me, it's really kind of put together all the content that I've been presenting into a book. And I guess the origin of this concept is coming from Aristotle's eudaimonia concept. So eudaimonia basically means flourishing. So we talk about surviving, we talk about thriving, but there's actually flourishing too, where we're living in a way that we're helping the environment, the people around us to get better too, right? Surviving, we're just trying to stay alive. Thriving, yes, we're doing well, but maybe just for ourselves. But flourishing is actually giving back to the environment, people around us, to make the world a little bit better too. So his concept revolves around four elements. Now it's all kind of with the fundamentals in integrity and virtue. But the four elements are, which, so I kind of came up with the acronym because I thought, hey, it's cute. It makes up the word game. Growth, G stands for growth in the game framework. A is authenticity, M is meaning, and E is excellence. So if I think about this concept here and I think about my life journey where I have done many things, I owned a Chinese restaurant for 6 years, went back to school, MBA, and then went into corporate and then became a coach. I really feel that my own life philosophy kind of revolve around these elements too. So I would love to share with the readers because I have been sharing with the audience of my speaking engagement, and I feel that it resonates with many people. Even when I apply these concepts to leading teams, it resonates with the teams too, because we want our own team also to flourish, not just surviving and thriving.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much for kind of giving a brief overview of that. And I think that, we'll definitely dive more into that. And I'm sure, if people have questions, we can jump into some of that. But all right. So, Sophia, I guess in preparation to this, can you, and you shared a little bit already, since you mentioned kind of the framework, what the acronym stands for, and you shared a little bit of kind of your journey, but can you walk us more thoroughly on this GAME framework and what it means to you personally as Sophia, so the person, the coach, the executive, but and maybe in those different capacities, but what does it mean, that framework to you personally?
Personally, it's really kind of getting out of this what we think success looks like, right? I do think that because of the prevalence of social media, what people tell us what we need to do, a lot of the time we're chasing fame, we're chasing wealth, we're chasing something to get to that mental state of being joyful. Maybe not happy, maybe happy is temporary, right? But joyful is something that is your undercurrent. So I'm hoping that this concept is to help us to operate in the framework where ultimately it's going to lead us to that mental state. And in my first, I believe it was in my first chapter or introduction where I talk about the state of unwanting, meaning that we're at a state where okay, not wanting anything. It doesn't mean that we rest on our laurel and we get lazy and not perform at a peak level, but it just means that we actually don't need that many things because we are content as who we are. We don't need external measures to tell us that we are a good person, that we are worthy of love. Because I do feel that a lot of the time, if I look at achievement oriented culture or society, it's almost like we have to fight so hard to get to that peak just to show that we're worthy of someone's love. And that is a tough way to live. And how about loving ourselves, that we are enough and we are loved? So I really do think that is an important concept. And you may say that, okay, how does this lead to leading teams, right? But it has a lot to leading teams too, because you want your team members to also feel that way too, that they don't have to prove themselves to earn your love. You want them to love themselves enough that they want to perform at their peak, be their best, and do their best. So I really do think that living as our own and then leading teams are very much interconnected. a happy boss will create happy employees, happy work environments, and then happy business, and then happy society. So it's so I talked about the virtuous cycle that we can all create, but it starts with us. We need to first look inside ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is all interconnected. And I love that
Yeah.
happy boss, happy employees, environment, and then it's just, it's a circle. And I think that the more that we understand and put importance to that, the better results that we'll have. But I think it starts, with us, and the small things will lead to the big things for sure. Yeah, no, thank you so much for that. I want to ask you, kind of as a follow-up. Obviously, we realize the framework of growth, authenticity, it's meaning and excellence. Was there one that came more naturally to you, and maybe one that you had to work the hardest at, perhaps?
Good questions. I think that one that is the easiest for me is learning, growth, definitely growth. I do see myself as a lifelong learner. And I've been reading books like 3, 4 hours a day for I don't know how many years now, since I remember. But lately I've been listening a lot because I'm into poetry reading lately. So I'm like training my ears to listen. Uh, so that one comes really naturally because of my curiosity. I always want to figure out how things work. My challenge has always been what not to learn because I'm always curious about learning a new skill. So that one is very natural to me. The one that is the most difficult, probably, well, maybe I don't want to say difficult. I think it takes the most time for me to get to the answer is meaning. Because sometimes some things that seem so obvious, like this is so obvious, you just sign up for it, you'll make a lot of money, or you'll get a promotion. You get So that one's probably the hardest because you have a lot of people saying in your ear what is the right thing to do, but it but you have this spidey feeling telling yourself like, oh, it doesn't feel right because I walked away from CFO roles at the end of my career because my spidey sense, my body, everything is telling me it didn't feel right, even though I was going to the biggest paycheck in my life. I was wondering, am I going to survive taking this role? And then I also told myself, maybe you can take this job for 2 years, make a lot of money, and then you can leave. And then I say, but what does it say about me as a person if I just want to commit to 1 to 2 years, take the money, and then go, right? So, I went through a lot of struggles with that decision, but at the same time, it's so worth it thinking back right now that how much struggle I went through because it really bring clarity clarity to myself or of my values, what's important to me. So I think meaning is probably the toughest one for me, but not the toughest, the one that needs the most processing because sometimes how you feel or your values may not be what conventional wisdom may tell you, right? People will be like, just take the job already, and then you're like, but I don't want it because it's inconsistent with my values. But I may not feel it at that time, but I just need to slow down and say, okay, what does my emotions tell me, and then why is my body not consistent with how I should be feeling, right? Yeah. So I think that one needs the most processing, but it could be the most rewarding too. Yeah, the meaning part. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is very interesting insight, Sophia. And I completely agree with you. Obviously, I haven't delved super into this framework, but like me, working with you, it's definitely very interesting. And I would actually like, just as a kind of outside looking in, would also probably say meaning probably does take the most work, because it requires a lot of introspection, and work to think about what are your values, and sometimes your values do shift, at different phases in your life.
Exactly. Yes. That's what
So
I say in my book. And Gabby and I, we did not rehearse. Okay. So we did not actually prep ahead of time. But that's actually what I say in my book. I say early on, when my kids were younger, and I was thinking, okay, financial security, really important, really important. And I've coached a lot of people now, and I can young people, older executives, And a lot of the time, we don't realize that our values will change according to where we are in our life stage. So, yes, financial security is still important, but guess what? I spent 20, 30 years working on financial security. So maybe it's time for me to actually, right, answer to my values completely now. So, yeah, it's perfect because I actually did mention it in my book that our values will shift, but we just have to be aware of that so that we know that we are no longer the same as who we are 20 years ago. We're different now. I have a lot of older executives who are so afraid of restructuring, getting laid off, and so forth. And I was like, wait. I said, you're no longer that 20-year-old who's like poor, nothing in the bank, and everything now. Slow down and think about it. And sometimes they feel like, oh, this is actually a good thing happening to me. I can get a good package. And so but we are stuck in our like old thinking, and because we never bother to actually update our, our thinking, right? Realizing that our situation is different now. Because for me personally, I slow down and I try to figure out, okay, how much do we really need, right, in terms to be comfortable. So most people don't do that. Most people will just say that, okay, I need financial security. But they never have a number. When I say, what is the number that you're trying to get to? It's infinity, because they never have a number, right? So I say, okay, put it down on paper. How much do you really need to be comfortable? And also another assumptions that people make is that when you retire, you make zero income. That is not true anymore, because we are in a gig economy right now, right? Everyone has a side gig now. You go to a speaking engagement, you make this much money. So everyone has some side gig or income now. We all have this different income stream now. So it's the assumptions needs to be challenged on that. When you retire, you bring zero income in. That is not true. So, which means that all that thinking that we have, we need to challenge ourselves. We just need to be very honest to ourselves and challenge that. Is that thinking still valid or not? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that deeper deeper insight on that. And I think you have great stuff to say, Sophia. And our next question kind of in a way you answered it without answering it, but I want to still ask it because in case you also feel you want to share something, but what's one misconception about success that you wish more people would let go of? I think this
Yeah.
you said about the retirement was great, but like, what about this
Yes.
one? What's another misconception that you wish people would let go of?
I hate to say it, but it's really like when you make the most money, you'll be the happiest person, probably. Because I think we all know people who are rich but miserable and they can't trust anyone, right? And so I hate to say that, but I think that is the biggest misconception. And I have met many people who may have moderate income or comfortable income, but they are happy, right? And I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like I am happy too. I made a lot less than before when I was in corporate, but I can tell you my joy. I don't want to say happiness. I think my joy and my mental state is exponentially better than before. Maybe I have flexibility. I think number one is flexibility. I spend a lot of time in nonprofit. That gives me so much fulfillment. But if I'm still in corporate, I wouldn't have time to do any of that, right? My mind will be so preoccupied. So I do want to say that the number one misconception is that you have to beat everyone to get to the top, make the most money, and you'll be happy. But what are you're climbing to the top of the hill that has no trees and nothing and nobody around. So so I do think that we need to actually challenge that misconception. It doesn't mean that you don't want to work to gain wealth. No, it doesn't mean that way. It just means that, do you have to do it at all costs? Probably not. So probably along the way, when you're climbing up that hill, you plant your trees and flowers, you bring people along. That's probably a better way for you to get to the top. Yeah.
Mhm. Wow, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I think that it's very true. And I think, as someone who hasn't had, the, 30 plus years in working in corporate or anything like that, my experience, we see that often that's, the aspiration of many young professionals, that's, it looks so great, the green the grass looks so green up in the
On the
hill.
other side, yeah. Yeah.
But I love that you said the the hill is high, but it's like where are the trees, like there's
You're alone at the top, right?
right, you're alone. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
And
that.
as an executive coach, I can tell you, I have many executives who are unhappy because they work so hard, right, to set at
Mhm.
the expense of their relationships and time and everything to get to the top, and then it's so lonely at the top, and then all they have is just the title and the bank account and nobody around and nobody to trust because they have
Yeah,
got, yeah. So yeah, but I also have coached a lot of executives who actually figure out the smart way to do it. Yeah.
awesome. Well, definitely, those tuning in, please make sure that you connect with us. Make sure you're commenting, and I
Yes,
know
please.
later on we will be sure to add the how you connect with Sophia, because I think you have so much insight and such a great coaching presence, Sophia. I love how you share your thoughts, but are also share a lot of great insight that is very applicable in whatever space people are at. So thank you. um, I have a couple of more questions, and then we'll obviously open it up to some Q&A for our audience. So those tuning in, please start thinking of some questions you would like to share in the chat, so that Sophia could answer them live for you. And I know I also have some questions about your the book process as well. That's something that a lot of people always find curious when you finally launch your book. Really great things with that, but Sophia, coming back a little bit into this framework that you developed and now have a book about, what's a small but powerful step that someone could take tomorrow to begin living their own game of
Yes.
life? What do you think about that?
Yeah. So I spent like many pages talking about building your self awareness, and then the number one thing to start awareness is to really acknowledging your emotions and your feelings. So when you're upset, when you're angry, see it as a good thing. I know, yes, I get upset, I get stressed, but for me now, I see it as oh, good signal. This is trying to tell me something. And then, yes, sometimes you have to get over it, or sometimes you made a big mistake, spend a weekend, have a pity party or something. But and then later on, you slow down and then you start. Okay, why am I feeling that way? Because it's trying to tell me something, right? My inner self is going to trying to tell me something. So number one, really listen to your feelings and emotions, and really start to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? To try to first label the feelings and the emotions. There are actually 87 emotions from Brene Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart, and from other researchers too. But we tend to only have like five feelings that we talk about. Like I'm angry, I'm sad. No, so don't accept that you're angry or you're just angry or you're just sad. Double click on it, right? Double click on that feeling and say, what does it really mean? Are you sad, or are you kind of uncertain? Or are you scared? So really double click on the feeling, label it, and then try to process it. Try to ask yourself, why are you feeling that way? So that you see your emotions and your feeling as a signal to tell you that maybe something needs to change, or maybe you have to change. And the easiest part, most of the time we want other people to change, but the easier things to do is actually for us to change, right? But when I say for us to change, it doesn't mean that we have to kowtow to like the bullies or anything. No, it's not that. It just means that how we kind of respond to the situations will dictate the outcome most of the time. We don't want to react, but if we build into that buffer zone where when we have emotions coming in, we say, good, put it in that decompression chamber, right? And then start processing it. And then you come out and respond. I think it's going to help us to actually start to understand what we want, what our values are, what's important to us. Yeah. So I think that's the one small step. Really accepting you. Don't be angry that you're angry. Don't be angry that you're sad. Be happy that, hey, this is a signal that tells me something. We try so hard not to feel anything because we say I need to be stoic and not have any emotions, but that that's not good because we're bottling up something that's going to explode in the future and you don't know why. You don't know why it's exploding. So better to kind of diffuse it one at a time. Yeah.
Right. Fabulous advice. I think that is a fantastic first step. And I love that part that you said that it's so emotions seem so scary, but
Yeah.
emotions are, what lead us to these decisions to understand it's who we are, and processing them and being aware. Because that, like you
Yes.
said, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just understanding
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, really great insight, Sophia, and more to come with the book. So if you think this conversation is great, you've taken some great nuggets from it. Please make sure you get a copy of the book, and we'll share a little bit more further about that. But Sophia, before I have a final question before we open it up to the audience. But I want to ask kind of some side questions of the
Okay.
book as well.
Okay.
Yes. So I know we always ask, like you said in the beginning, this book was really a labor of love, because that's what a book is. A book becomes a baby, this conception through an idea that we have, that we desire to share more knowledge. Then, we go on this amazing journey of the content writing, then editing, and then putting the book together. And then now we finally have a book published. I want to ask, do you have a favorite part of the journey? Maybe it was the beginning, as you were working through your putting your knowledge on paper, or maybe it was, later on in the process where you saw it fully designed, ready to go. Did you have a favorite part, or a part that really, that you enjoyed a lot?
So I do want to confess, like when I first left corporate, everyone said that you need to write a book. So I did try to write 2 books. So I remember I went to the library every day, packed up to the library trying to write. It was so miserable because number one, I wasn't doing it for the right reason. It was just because I want to call myself an author. And then I felt like I was writing office like memos. It felt so business like that I hated it. And then it also took away the time that I read. But this time around, it was because, okay, in May, I was in this anthology, right? Leadership Unscripted, with 11 other PNG women. And that's how I got to know you. Yeah, no Jackie. And then I was like, so once I started to write this, it's almost like my voice is like heard for the first time because I did kind of touch on a little bit personal stuff. That's like the gateway for me. And then I joined this expressive poetry reading class virtually in China with people in China. And then once you do expressive recitation, you gotta let your emotion out because it's expressive, right? So that's almost like another door that got open for me. So when I finally met with Jackie and then said, write this book, it wasn't that hard anymore for me to actually express my feeling, because I think the challenge has always been, how much of myself do I want to share there? Because 4 years ago, it was business memo, nothing about Sophia, right? So it got easier. After chapter 3, I figured out a system because I think people say most of the time, first time author, they have so many things bottled up for so many years, they just want to dump it. So first chapter to chapter 3, it was kind of hard because I have so many things in my mind, and then I figured out a system. So it got smoother after chapter 3, and I started to enjoy the process. It started to flow out. But I do want to say maybe my favorite chapter is maybe the closing chapter. That was after I submitted everything to you, and I actually asked you to open it up again for me to go back in, because I don't know if my niece is here, but my niece is actually my first reader other than the editor. I asked her to read it, and she texted me and she said, I wish Alex can read this, because Alex, he was my nephew. He passed away suddenly last year at 35. And I started to realize that maybe I was writing for him. Maybe my voice is maybe I'm talking to him. So sorry, I should bring this up. So I had a real cry after for the first time after he died. But it's my favorite chapter because I suddenly realized why I'm doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sophia, being so vulnerable with us
Yeah.
and sharing those moments. It means a lot for you to, open up and share those, how impactful it is, because I love that you said, at first it was business, but then, writing a little bit, in that anthology, then, now you're like, I can do this. I have my own story. I have my own book. I have more to say, and how even, your niece, and I'm sure your nephew is watching this too, from there, and happy with you and the impact that you do for others. So thank you for your vulnerability, and thank you for sharing as well your favorite part through that. And I guess kind of the next question goes a little bit into that. You mentioned the last chapter, right? It was you let her read it, your niece, and then it kind of through edits it got the final copy, which is what it's now in the book. But for you, is what do you want readers to feel when they close that last page? They've read the book, they get to the final chapter, and now they close the book. What do you want readers to feel when they finish it?
I want them to feel empowered. I do think that I probably in the last 5 to 10 years, I started to live in an empowered state where I know myself. I know what I want. I may not always get things right, but I know I will be okay. So regardless of whether you are a young person or an old person, I want you to read the book and feel empowered in a way that maybe you can start looking into these areas and figure out what is getting you stuck. Because the world is a mess right now, right? I don't think this is an overstatement. The world is a mess right now, but what's important is for us not to lose ourselves. Yeah. So and the world will tell us that we need to live in a survival mode, right? To put ourselves into tribes and hate each other, attack each other just so that we can stay alive. But that is not true, because it's actually the opposite. If we open up, we help use relationships, we use love, we created this shield for us, right? I have people on different sides, all the sides, different, but at the same time, I really feel that my relationships have definitely become my shields in my life. Many times. So I think the world may want to tell us that we have to defend and we have to offend or defend or whatever. But at the same time, we should not forget that first we need to know ourselves. The self-compassion really important, but we also need to be able to give to others too, because when we give to others, that's when we find the most power. When we can help other people. This is not savior syndrome or anything like you're trying to come in and soup it. Not because you're gonna always find somebody who needs like more than you, who has less than you. You always will find someone. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, totally. So true. Very well said. And hopefully, I know that hit a lot to me. I think that's so important, and service, I think, is a very big value of mine. So even you just saying that, and how we kind of, look through our actions, professionally, emotionally, everything, always kind of keeping that in the forefront. So thank you so much, Sophia, for sharing. I do want to open it up to any questions from the audience or comments that maybe you have for Sophia. I know, we have a question here, and I know I want to share also any comments you've had. People are saying great things, but this question is from Toy B. James.
Hi, Toy. I know her.
Awesome. She's here with us. And she's saying, if there's one lesson from the book that she would want the reader to walk away with, what would it be? So I know you kind of answered, the last speech, but is there any other one, maybe a different lesson that you think would be important for readers to walk away with?
Let me touch on excellence then. because I think that this book is structured in 4 parts, right? The G.A.M.E, 4 parts. And depending if you're comfortable in one area, there's maybe another area that you can look into. But let me touch on excellence, because a lot of people think excellence means that is accomplishment oriented, right? You got to be the number one. You got to A plus. A is not acceptable and all that. But we probably need to think about what excellence means to us. Does it mean perfection? Maybe not. Does it mean getting 100 points every time, in every area of our life? Maybe not. You can have 80. You can score 80% in a part of your life and score 70 and 80, maybe above 80 in every area, and you can still feel perfect in your. You can still feel like you have a perfect life. So I do think that we shouldn't take ourselves like be too harsh on ourselves to say that I need everything to be perfect for me to be happy. There is like conditional happiness, right? My happiness is only conditional on the fact that I am perfect, because we always confuse excellence and perfection. Perfection means 100% perfect, right? Flawless. But then I want to say, who decide what's flawless and what's not flawless? You do. But then we don't allow ourselves to feel that flawless means that it's 95, not 100. So think about the difference between excellence and perfection. I do think that that's really important. That's the one thing that I want you to take away with, which means, okay, in that case, in your life, do you have to be rich and check off every area of your life to say you have a great life? Maybe not, right? For you to have that excellent life. Because what is a perfect life? A perfect life is really depends on how you feel. you feel, not other people, not what people say, right? Because a lot of the time we listen to what other people say and then we feel like that is the standard, but it's not true, because we all have our own definition of success. We just don't realize it. But if we start to understand ourselves, our values, what's important to us, now we actually do have our own definition of success. And then for us to work toward that is going to be the fulfillment that we can get, not what everybody said you need to have. Because it's easy for you to say something to someone and make them feel bad, right? And then you forget about it, and that person carry with them maybe for years, right? So I actually do think that may be a big lesson there, that a lot of people confused perfection and excellence.
Yeah, wonderfully said. Thank you so much, Sophia, for that insight. That is a really great lesson that many of us can apply. So I appreciate that. We do have one more question. This is from Helen. Helen Hendricks. She is asking.
I know Helen too.
Awesome. Yeah, so awesome that you have your supporters here joining us. Yes. I love seeing our authors supported with their community, because this is a great accomplishment. So thank you to all those who are joining us, supporting Sophia here. Helen says, why is authenticity important to living a successful life? Right.
Yes. So when we say authenticity, in my book, I talked about authenticity. Technically, it's an expression of who we really are. It's actually not who we really are. It's an expression of who we really are. So living authentically means that we live true to ourselves, true to our values, true to our identity that is ever evolving too. Our identity actually change all the time. So that's living authentically, meaning that we know what we want and we know that we're living in the way that is consistent with our what we believe and what we value. Now, but authenticity, that how you show up to the world, is actually an expression. It's a skill actually, because you probably don't want your full authentic self out there when you have no makeup or whatever. I don't know, but the showing up to the world is actually how you show up to the world that is consistent to your value, but it contextually different too, and it's different situation. I actually have a funny story in there about karaoke, about how I was being authentic, and I went to a restaurant with karaoke, and there's a couple with like 2 little kids there, and I felt bad that the kids are among the adults. Adults are like drinking, eating, and all that stuff. So I wanted to entertain them. So I went up to the stage and picked the sound of music, do re mi, do dear female dear. So I went up there and I said, do dear female dear. I literally Julie Andrews, right? Yeah, Julie. Because I wanted the kids to have fun listening to the fun song, and then everyone was looking at me like, what was that? Because they were eating and drinking, not paying attention. That was me being authentic, I think. But when I think back, I was in my 20s. When I think back to this situation, I'm like, cringe. What did you do? But was I authentic? I was probably authentic, but did I express myself, taking into considerations of the situations, the people? Probably not, because I was focusing on entertaining those two little kids there. So there are two things. But living authentically is really being honest to yourself, right? Are you living consistent with your values?
I love that. Thank you. Great story. I really can imagine you,
Well, my friends will know that this is what Sophia will do.
I love it. You are authentic, which is great. Definitely super wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much. All those who sent in some questions. I just want to read a comment from you. This is from Lisa. She said, I love how you shared your personal reflections in the book, helping us not only learn lessons through examples, but feel connected to you as an author as well. So
Is
sweet.
that Melissa?
Yeah, Lisa.
Melissa, thank you. So Melissa actually let me know that the link to Amazon is up. I didn't even know because she got a copy, and I just got the book like the day before. So thank you, Melissa. Yeah. Yes.
That was Lisa, but I think Melissa, thank you as well.
Probably Melissa. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. No. Well, speaking of, actually, before we jump into some exciting giveaways that you will talk about, Sophia, I want to just ask, the final question is, what does the book cover mean to you? It's a beautiful cover.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your cover before we move on, because it's so special and beautiful, and I know you have a nice comment about that too.
Am I pointing the right way? Oh, yeah. Look. So my daughter did this collage when she was 15. So I've been hanging behind me, and I love it because it has eyes, it has mouth, it has ears, and then the butterfly. And I was like, oh my God. When she was 15, she's trying to express that, there's all this outside pressure that is stopping the butterfly from coming out, becoming a butterfly. So I love the meaning of it, especially after I have become a coach, right? So I actually have a lot more of the artwork over there, but I picked this one because I thought it is so symbolic about how we really want to be able to fly free like a butterfly. And I have another story in my book also related to butterfly too. And so when Jackie told me she can turn it into the book cover, I'm like, sold. So that's the origin of my book cover. Yeah. So, but I also have a follow-up story on that too, because my daughter, okay, I'm just going to tell you right here. My daughter said that, Mom, I was just bored. I just want to tear something. So there was like a magazine that she tore up and then make it into like an artwork. So I was like a mom, you always overthink, right? You try to interpret what your kids are feeling or thinking. You put all these meanings into it. And then she told me, no, I was just bored. I just want to destroy something. And then that's how she came up with the artwork. Yes.
How cool. How cool. Yes. It was this unexpected moment of just creativity, really just, being like nothing kind of too deep, but it turned into something beautiful, into something because now it represents this beautiful cover that really signifies this game of life and how we interpret, faith and everything. So really
she studies sociology. So she actually told me that this is a way like an artist can create something, but it's the person who's looking at it that gives it meaning. And that's why when we go to the museum, we will look at it and we have our own translation, right? And then we want to read the description. We're like, okay, completely different from what I thought it is. So that's how it is. And it actually brings another lesson that we probably want to talk to someone, right? if we think that this is how they're feeling, we probably want to sit down and say, okay, is this how you feel? Because I was thinking that she's probably having an identity crisis or something, and all she does was like, oh, I was just bored.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
great lesson. And
Yeah.
those can be applied anywhere and taken from
Mhm.
anywhere, even this. So thank you
Yes.
so much. Sophie. Really beautiful cover. So as we, are beginning to wrap up this amazing event, time has flown, Sophia. I've had a great time talking to you. Great stuff we've been sharing deep into the book. And thank you again to our audience tuning in. I know that we have some special big giveaways, but Sophia, I'll give you the floor since I know you want to share a little bit of this book QR code that we have for everyone, a special gift.
Yes.
Sophia,
Uh-huh.
yes, go ahead.
Yes. So I think I mentioned that I have a few. Do you have a slide that you can do?
Yes,
Okay. You want? Okay. So I mentioned that we're gonna give away a few copies of the books here, and I look at the list of people registered. I'm like, a few copies will not do. So I'm going to give away 20 copies of my book, signed copy, but it may take 2 to 3 weeks because I actually ran out of books already. Yeah, before launch, I think I have 3 copies left here. Yeah, sorry, backward, upside down. So I'm giving away 20 copies. So is this the book giveaway that they
Yes.
can scan, right? Yeah, if you scan it, you'll see a Google form. And I have a question there. I think like what area resonate with you or you want to work on the most, and then you can put in your mailing address if you want this. Only if you I don't want to push it to you, right? If you want the signed copy, you put in your address, and then I'll mail it to you. It may take 2 to 3 weeks because I'm waiting for the new batch of books to come. Because Jackie is like, "You ran out already?" I was like, "Yeah, I ran out already." So I'm waiting for the next batch of book to come in. All right, so I think 20 copies. I'm hoping that all my friends will be able to get it too. Who come to support me too, of course, or anyone out there if you fill out the Google form. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And as a reminder, this link, this QR code and link as well is pinned right now to our comments. So you could just go on there and click it as well for this amazing, generous book giveaway from Sophia. But Sophia, as I think we were going to mention, that is if you don't want to wait, or perhaps you do want one your own, but also get another copy to gift it or to just have extra copies, it also is available on Amazon as well, which is also the link is attached here to the comments. But you can also search that up, the Game of Life, and then Sophia's name, and you can also find there as well. Wonderful. Well, Sophia, we've had a blast talking. I want to make sure that before we log off and allow people to connect with you, any final words that you may have for us as we wrap up here?
Yes, so of course, I have to overcome my self-doubt to write this book. And so some of you, I know my friends who are coaches, who are leadership trainer, may feel some of the concepts are elementary because you do this yourself. Just know that I am actually trying to use the book to just open up, almost like a gateway for someone to actually start thinking about looking inside so that they awake and not just dreams outside the Kaoyong comments, right? So I do think that some of you may find this kind of easy fundamental concept, but what I'm trying to do here is to use G.A.M.E to capture like a broad set of areas that people can look into to start to think about holistically how to live in a way that where we are flourishing, that we're not just surviving, we are leading with depth as a good leader, we are living with intentions, we're trying to live an excellent life, right? Maybe not a perfect life, but an excellent life. So that's one thing that I want you to keep in mind. And if you say, okay, what this book is for, initially I was writing for the executive side coach. I want them to be happy so that they become happy bosses, happy employees, and then so forth, that ripple effect. And then now that I have a couple, actually 3 young adults reading it, and they say, hey, this helps me too. This helps me to figure out where I should grow, right? How I can be authentic. I think that it may be helpful also for people who are just starting out, maybe confused with all the noise that we see out there. So I think young adults, I think this will help them also when they read this. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Mhm.
you so much for those amazing final words. Whether, like you mentioned, whether you're a professional, you're already a coach, like you said, these concepts might be familiar, but everyone's, takeaway and interpretation is different. So definitely still get the book. You might learn great things from it.
Yeah.
For those who are, don't have a lot of experience with this, please get the book and share it with anyone. This I feel like would be great for young adults or as a gift. I think it's the book is not, super academic and it's hard to read. No, it's very approachable, very great book, and I know that's what you intended, Sophia. So thank you, everyone. Please make sure you connect with her, Sophia, on LinkedIn at the gameoflifebook.net. Thank you once again, everyone, as well, for joining us to this official book launch. And make sure you send Sophia a message on her website or LinkedIn, or even here on our page. We'll make sure we connect you with her if you're not already connected. But thank you for joining us. We hope this was a bit of a preview as what you can expect with the amazing book that Sophia has taken time to read with her experiences. And Sophia, thank you for being today, sharing a little bit of your heart, your insight, your vulnerability with us. We cannot wait to see you, launch this book and share it with the world, because I know that the world needs it. So
Thank you, Gabby. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you,
Awesome.
everyone. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, everyone. We'll be in touch.